All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving into a pretty incredible story about how Nigeria, a nation you probably know for its obsession with football, is becoming a serious force to be reckoned with in the world of rugby. You know, what we're seeing in Nigerian rugby right now is way more than just a few good games. This is a story about huge potential, a deep history, and a real nationwide ambition to compete on the biggest stages. It really feels like a sleeping giant of world rugby is finally waking up.
And right at the heart of this whole awakening, you've got two national teams. Now, they're playing two different versions of the game, but they are absolutely united by one single dream: putting Nigeria firmly on the global rugby map.
So first up, we have the men's national rugby union team, known as the Black Stallions. And these guys have been on an absolute tear, just powering their way into the final qualifiers for the Olympic Games. I mean, that's a massive step toward their dream of competing for gold.
And just look at this score. This says it all, doesn't it? This wasn't just a close game, it was a total statement. On their way to the Olympic qualifiers, the Black Stallions were dishing out some crushing defeats, like this incredible 43-0 win over Congo. They're not just winning, they are completely overwhelming their competition.
So while the men are chasing that Olympic dream, the women's team, the Green Falcons, are busy carving out their own piece of history. They're on this amazing quest to become the very first women's team from Africa to ever qualify for the Rugby League World Cup, and they've got their eyes set on the 2026 tournament.
And they are the real deal. Their incredible form was on full display in a recent international series where they completely shut out their rivals from Ghana. And that included a huge 40-0 victory. Believe me, they are more than ready for those final World Cup qualifiers.
Now, what makes this whole story so unique is that Nigeria is excelling in two different versions of the sport at the exact same time: Rugby Union and Rugby League.
So let's break this down. On one side, you have Rugby Union. That's the game the Black Stallions play, and it's governed by the Nigeria Rugby Football Federation, or the NRFF. Then, on the other side, there's Rugby League. That's the game the Green Falcons play, and it's managed by the Nigerian Rugby League Association, the NRLA. Two totally distinct games, and both are just thriving. But here's the thing, this success didn't just pop up out of nowhere. The roots of rugby in Nigeria go way back, nearly 70 years, and really understanding that journey is the key to seeing where this sport is headed next. Rugby was actually first brought to Nigeria way back in the 1950s by British miners, and for decades it was, a pretty minor sport. But as you can see, things started getting more serious with the founding of the NRFF in 1998, which led to full world rugby membership in 2001. And then, bam, in 2019, the NRLA's first tournament kicked off the explosive rise of rugby league.
And this growth isn't just happening on the national stage. A really solid domestic foundation is being built across both codes. We're talking active men's, women's, and even under-19 leagues, which create this vital pipeline for all the future talent.
Okay, but this is where the story of Nigerian rugby gets truly fascinating. You could argue that the nation's single greatest asset isn't even within its borders. It's actually spread all across the globe.
Yeah, we're talking about a massive diaspora of elite athletes, world-class players either born in Nigeria or with direct Nigerian heritage who have grown up to become superstars for other countries.
I mean, just take England's national team, for example. It's featured absolute legends and current stars with Nigerian heritage, guys like Maro Itoje, Topsy Ojo, and Victor Ubugo. And honestly, that's just scratching the surface. This is a huge talent pool playing at the highest levels in the UK, Ireland, Canada, and beyond. This quote from the Nigerian Rugby Federation just captures it perfectly. They said, "Nigeria could powerhouse world rugby based on our strength, speed, and natural build." They know the raw athleticism is there. The big challenge is just harnessing all of it for Nigeria itself. So, that brings us to the big question, right? How does Nigeria take all of this incredible raw potential and turn itself into a consistent global powerhouse? What does the road ahead really look like?
While the path forward seems pretty clear, first, the national teams have to keep up their success in these big qualifiers to really raise the sport's profile. Second, they've got to find creative ways to tap into that global talent pool we were just talking about. Third, keep making those domestic leagues stronger. And finally, and this one's crucial, secure the sponsorship needed to fund the whole thing. When you look at the whole picture, Nigeria's at a really pivotal moment. The momentum from these recent victories is for real, and the talent, both at home and abroad, is just undeniable.
It feels like all the pieces are falling into place for an incredible journey that really is just getting started.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. When you consider the passion, the history, and the sheer depth of athletic talent available, well, maybe the question isn't if Nigeria will become a rugby superpower, but simply a matter of when.